In the news at noon, more final year students writing exit exams vandalize school property as they protest examination protocols, and the very latest on the final days of the mass voter registration exercise. All those details coming up pretty shortly in our news at noon. That would be in another 6 minutes. Time for us to throw in our morning inspiration before we bid you adieu. So a long time ago, a very cruel king named Virat Singh was ruling the city of Vijayanagar. All citizens were fearful because of his cruelty. Virat had a dog named Jack, which he used to love more than anything. One fateful morning, Jack died. Virat Singh organized last rituals for the dog. The entire city came to a cremation ground. Virat Singh was very happy to see that people loved him so much, and he felt that he was the most popular king in the world. But a few days later, Virat Singh died, but nobody came to his funeral. Interesting. Well, respect is something you have to earn. You cannot force it on others to respect you. There's a thin line between fear and respect. Every one of us should understand it and do necessary corrections in our personalities. Well, that's some inspiration for you on a Thursday mid-morning. Let's go to Merit International Band. We'll play 2 tracks before we bid you adieu at noon. Once again, happy birthday to Minister Bernard Amankwa of Presence Ministry. Abraham Bejo, it's your birthday today. Happy birthday, enjoy your day. Linda Hogba of Ghana High Commission of South Africa. It's a special birthday wish for you, and that's from Some Funky. Oh, really? Good morning, Joseph Ajuman, and good morning, Bright in East Legon.
My papa goes to right, papa number one. My friend, papa no, oh, yeah, see, mo. Opera, yeah, when you're my boy, bump, see, so see, woman, what's that bad kind? Be very, no, Yaminayo, oh, Yaminayo, oh, Yaminayo, oh.
We've got to play you one that would help you dance all the way till noon. But many thanks to you all for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed your Boys to Men and Merit International Band today. We're back with yet another exciting show tomorrow. We'll do another duo next Thursday. Be a duo or a group. Remember, a positive attitude gives you power over your circumstances instead of your circumstances having power over you. Go on and have a good day. Thank you so very much for listening. My name is Doreen Nando. Wait for the news coming up shortly at noon. This is Aloncho.
Grandpa, there are still 5 ripe and 15 unripe mangoes on the tree.
That's my boy.
Grandpa, it's still 1.2 kilograms of rice in the container.
My boy. And how much credit did I spend last week?
Well, you spent 5 CDs on calls, 2 megabytes on data, and you sent 5 SMSs.
We are the first network that tells you exactly what you have spent and when you spent it. Dial *545# to access your statement on MTN. We day for you everywhere you go.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from Joy 99.7 FM in Accra at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country including ATLS and Cape Coast, Radio Max Takrade, and around the world at myjoyonline.com. Coming up, more chaos and vandalism as final year senior high school students clash with WAEC officials and schools over social distancing in examination halls.
Nana, you make we solve this book from cover to cover.
We have details from across the country as the GES serves notice it will not spare anyone involved in the disturbances.
The demonstration is just because the school invigilators are so strict on them.
If they have any grievance, they have to channel it through the right processes, rather than to vandalize government property unduly.
We'll be live at the Kumfia Male Senior High School, the Indowura Jakbat Senior High Technical School, and Bright Senior High School in Kukrentumi, where student agitation is still brewing. Also in this package, 5 persons injured after alleged bodyguards of MPP parliamentary candidate for Ejumaku Enyan Isiam constituency stormed the registration center there, destroying properties. We have details. Meanwhile, the NPP and NDC disagree on how voter registration exercise has turned out as the Electoral Commission wraps up.
The Electoral Commission have exceeded the target that they set for themselves. Attempts have been made and continue to be made to stop legitimate Ghanaians from voting.
Also, and with over 500,000 workers across the country grappling with income losses due to COVID-19, we tell you the story of a pupil teacher who's been living on only a quarter of what she used to receive. And in sport,
we'll hear from GFA President Keto Kraku as he inspects site for the construction of a FIFA-funded AstroTurf in the Upper East region.
And in Spotlight,
I think at the end of the day, I take my line of work seriously.
This is a song for my beautiful girl in the world.
We highlight the musical journey of journalist turned rapper D-Crime. I'm Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah. Details shortly. Thanks for your company. The details now. It's gradually spreading across the country. Final year senior high school students clashing with school authorities and WAEC officials over measures put in place for their exams. Last week, students of the Trinibua Kodia Senior High School protested the invigilation of their headmaster because they claim he was too strict. The latest incident is coming from the Bright Senior High School in Kukrentumi, where police have been deployed to quell violence there. We'll be crossing over to the Eastern region to get the latest on this development, but this is just one of many across the country, as my colleague Matilda Gavi reports.
Nana, you make we solve this book from cover to cover.
There has been widespread condemnation of the actions by students at the Trinibua Kodia Senior High School in the Ashanti region. At the moment, a 3-member investigative committee is looking into this matter.
Without being judgmental, I don't think the students have that right. We don't solve our problems through violence. So if they have any grievance, we have to channel it through the right processes, rather than to vandalize government property unduly.
These students were the first to have started a commotion since the commencement of the 2020 West Africa Senior Secondary Certificate Examination. Despite the condemnation and growing concern about indiscipline among these students, it appears their actions have given courage to other students to follow suit. The latest being students of Indoro Ajapa Senior High Technical School in Dalmango in the West Gonja municipality. They vandalized school properties in protest of the 1.5-meter social distancing sitting arrangement in the examination hall. The students first turned off the lights on campus and carried out their deeds under the cover of darkness. Parts of the ceiling of a new 6-unit classroom block that was recently handed over to the school were removed. The louver blades of the school administration were also destroyed. Their actions have already been condemned by the chairman of the West Gonja Municipal Security Council.
The demonstration is just because the school invigilators are so strict on them.
Also in the northern region, an examination officer of the Tamale Senior High School, Alex Na, is seeking protection for his family following attempts by some students to attack him. His crime was that he did not allow the students to engage in any examination malpractice during their integrated science paper. About 100 final year students mobilized to attack him on Tuesday night, but he was rescued by school authorities.
The only reason is simple. The point was that I did not allow them to cheat or to be engaged in malpractice during the exam.
Meanwhile, Joy News is learning that some students of Ikumfi and Mayal Senior High School are threatening to protest against an external invigilator whose presence at the exam center, according to them, is serving as a form of intimidation. Are we likely to be seeing more of these cases? And how do we nib it in the bud?
Matilda Gavi with that report. Let's go on to the phone lines now to Kukren Tumi in the Eastern region, where students of the Bright Senior High School are said to have vandalized school property in protest of examination rules. Kofi Siaon is our man there. Kofi, do we still have police presence on the school premises?
Yes, there are some police officers dispatched from the Tafo District Police Command to the school, and they are here to ensure that they protect lives and property. So as I speak with you, the police officers have been able to calm the situation and everything has returned to normal.
What's the extent of damage?
Well, for now, the police have not been able to put on record any form of damage to any school property or the police. So what they are doing is that they are still engaging the school management and some of the students to find out if there has been any cause of damage to any property in the school or not.
Finally, how are the students? Where are they now?
They are currently in the exams or writing their exams.
And have any arrests been made so far?
They have not made any arrest. I spoke to the district police commander, Superintendent Oben Dompre, and he says that he has no enough men because of the registration exercise that is taking place across the country. So most of his men have been sent to these registration centers, though they haven't enough men to ensure any form of arrest. So they are still cooperating with the school management to ensure that everything is okay.
Kofi Siaon is a man in the Eastern region. Let's also get the latest on the Ekumfi Amel Senior High School vandalism. Anas Abit is there for us. What's the latest, Anas?
Currently, there's calm in the school. We have the district education director, Mrs. Teresa Peggy, together with the district chief executive visiting these students. And even before they got into the exam hall to start today's paper, which is social studies, they had to engage them and then fight them, as well as assure them that those forms of intimidation will not be entertained again. They also complain of the invigilator urging them not to use the gents or the washrooms. These visits by the DCE and the education director has allayed those earlier, instructions, and they are now giving the assurance that they have the right to use the washroom as and when they have to. And so currently there's calm in the school, and the exam is ongoing peacefully.
Thank you very much, Anasa. But meanwhile, a Deputy Director General at the Ghana Education Service has described as ridiculous the expectation that past questions will be repeated in the ongoing West Africa Senior Secondary School examination. While condemning the vandalism of school property, Anthony Boateng assured the GES is thoroughly investigating the matter, including the claim of strict supervision by students of Trinidad Kodia SHS. He spoke on the AM show.
Ghana Education Service and therefore the schools have their regulations that deal with discipline. Those issues have not been compromised in any way, despite the circumstances in which we find ourselves. And therefore, any student or anybody who breach any of these rules or regulations will be dealt with according to the rules and regulations of the service. Now, with respect to the videos and the issues that have been discussed, I do not think for one moment that anybody should think that supplying past questions and chief examiner's report to students mean that the students were expecting those questions to appear on their final examinations. It will be a very ridiculous expectation. Like because we're giving past questions to guide in our studies, we're expecting those past questions to appear in our question paper, and therefore, when we went and those questions did not come, then somebody has disappointed us.
Anthony Boateng is a Deputy Director General at the Ghana Education Service. Meanwhile, Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Appiah, says punishment of students involved in the vandalism should not involve halting their education.
The decision of government to buy past questions for them is a good one. But I feel that the communication didn't go well. So they feel that, well, because we are the first batch that are going to write the first batch that are going to write the exams in terms of the free senior high school, therefore there will be some kind of leverage for us because a sister wants to prove that what I have done is okay, more students will pass. So there's all kinds of expectations that we didn't manage properly. For that matter, students felt disappointed because they feel that if you have given them past questions for them to solve, then there's a clear indication that you're going to send a question from there, which we not solely blame the authorities for it or the student.
Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Appiah there. This is your election headquarters to election-related stories. Now, 5 persons have been injured after alleged bodyguards of New Patriotic Party parliamentary candidate for Ejumakun Inyan Isiam constituency, Dr. Rashid Kwesi Etuafo, stormed the registration center at Ejumakun Besiase, destroying property. Media reports suggest the parliamentary candidate picked up information that foreigners were being registered after they were supposedly bussed by the opposition NDC to the registration centers. The alleged bodyguards stormed the center, ransacked materials, pulled down canopies, and vandalized some cars parked around. Richard Kojonyako is a Central Region correspondent, and he joins us with more. What more do you know about this, Richard? What sparked the violence?
Well, Bernice, just as you've indicated, what we have gathered is that 5 persons have sustained injuries as a result of what happened, the incident at the Jumak, one of the registration centers. The information we gathered was that the PC, or the parliamentary candidate for the NDC MPP, picked up signals that there were some foreigners that had been buzzed by the NDC to the registration, that particular registration center. So after these developments, some thugs would not know yet which side they belong, right there and ransacked the center, pulled out the canopies and vandalized some cars parked there. The EC officials, we are told, fled for their lives, leading to the momentary suspension of the process. The intervention of the security personnel helped to calm nerves, and later the process was reactivated.
Richard, so any arrests made?
Hello?
Have there been any arrests, Richard?
No arrests have been made, but at the moment we are at the regional police headquarters where the police commander for Ejumako is currently and will be briefing us.
Richard Kojonyako is a Central Region correspondent. We'll be following this keenly and bring you updates. Meanwhile, the opposition NDC's campaign team and the governing NPP disagree on how the voter registration exercise has turned out. NPP MP Ejapa Mensah says the process has been largely successful despite pockets of violence. The NDC's Alex Sebefia says, aside from confirming their long-held view that the previous register was not bloated, the exercise cannot be said to be largely successful. The EC is today ending public registration across the country. It, however, intends to offer prospective voters a 2-day lifeline at its district offices over the weekend. We'll take you to some centers here in Accra, but listen to the MPP's Ejapa Mensah on what he makes of the process so far.
We've had pockets of incidents that we've all seen here and there. But if you consider the fact that the registration actually took place at in excess of 33,000 registration centers, albeit in phases, you cannot but conclude, irrespective of the fact that we've seen some challenges which obviously is not new with our voter registration process in this country. The Electoral Commission have exceeded the target that they set for themselves.
NPP MP Ejapa Mensah, the Deputy Campaign Manager for the NDC's flag bearer, Alex Sebefia, disagrees. He wants the EC to carry out a further mop-up registration exercise once Ghana's borders are opened.
Attempts have been made and continue to be made to stop legitimate Ghanaians from voting. There's a clear system of how you challenge. There's a clear system of what you should do. Having military up and down the country is not the way forward.
Do you think anyone has been disenfranchised in this process?
Some may have been, but we are hoping that we can still encourage people in the mop-up that is being organized over the weekend to say, look, if this has happened to you, please take advantage. We are also hoping that the EC would contemplate doing a further mop-up once the borders are open, because there are a number of Ghanaians on both sides of the political divide who are stuck in different countries through no fault of theirs. And they should also not be disenfranchised. So once the borders are open, there should be another mop-up process for people to be able to come and register.
You heard Deputy Campaign Manager for the NDC's flag bearer, Alex Sebefia. Let's get a sense of how the exercise is going as the EC prepares to wrap up the nationwide registration process. We start off from Accra. My colleague Nancy Abu-Baidoo has been touring some registration centers and joins us. Nancy, which areas have you been to, and is there a mad rush to register on the last day?
Well, Bernice, I've been to 4 different registration centers situated in Nima, and I will say that out of all the 4 centers I visited, we put the numbers together, and total of 12 applicants have registered in all of these 4 centers. That should mean that at least one center is recording at least 3 people, and that's how slow the process has started. The electoral officer told me that from Saturday, when the final phase started, the highest number they have recorded in a day is 30, which is to show that the process has been largely very slow.
Nancy Abu-Baidoo, let's move away from Accra and head to the Upper West region. A correspondent, Rafiq Salam, joins us with the latest. What is the mood at centers you visited, Rafiq?
The mood in the centers is calm. The registration officers are on a virtual holiday because the people are not turning up as expected, and I can tell you that 4 registration centers that are visited that were registered after about 3,000 people.
Thank you very much, Rafiq. Now, as you may know, the Ashanti region has recorded pockets of violence at some registration centers, including the Asawase constituency, where an alleged national security operative almost, entered fisticuffs with bodyguards of the MP for the area, Muntaka Mubarak. Regional Minister Simon Osei says all persons found culpable of disruption of peace at registration centers will be dealt with. He's been speaking to Nanaya Ojima after touring some centers in the Ashanti region.
The bodyguard of the Member of Parliament for Aswan had no business going to sit at the registration center to provide security, because security arrangement had been made and he wasn't part of the security arrangement at that. So it was just unfortunate. I cannot say A, B, C or D. I have to go and sit down with the members of the Regional Security Council. So we'll go and review.
Simon Osei is Ashanti Region Minister. To the Volta region now, Ivy Satoji joins us with the latest. Ivy, what can you report?
Okay, so today's being the last day, people who waited for some time to register, but it's not as it was before. The process is slow, even though today is the last day. Some people are still complaining about being checked and being intimidated in Ketu South, while the process is going on smoothly to end the registration for this year.
Thank you, Ivy. Now, still in the Volta region, officials of the National Identification Authority say it's not strange to find NIA and EC officials at the same registration location, adding they are not violating the law. This follows accusations by the NDC's parliamentary candidate for Ketu South, Ablajifa Gomashi, that the move is intended to reduce the number of voters in her constituency. In a video she posted on Facebook, Madame Gomashi said the two institutions were deliberately slowing the process.
Remember last night I told you something was amiss? I'm standing at the where I have a polling station. Somehow the registration for the voter card is not going on. What is going on now is Ghana card registration, so that it will slow down the registration process. I told you last night, my intuition has never failed me. This is a grand agenda to reduce the votes in Ketu South.
Ablajifa Gomashi is the NDC's parliamentary candidate for Ketu South, while the NIA says the exercise is in line with its scheduled mop-up registration in the area. Head of Corporate Affairs, Francis Pamdeti, says the law governing NIA's operations allow polling stations set up by the EC to be used by the authority.
It is indicated in Section 13(3) and 4 that the polling stations created by the Electoral Commission and used in the most recent general elections shall be used as NIA registration centers as far as practicable. Despite subsection 3, the NIA board may direct that specific designated registration centers be used for the purpose of this act. It is therefore not strange to find NIA and EC officials in the same registration location, a situation which has occurred at a number of polling stations. In areas where EC has completed their activities, you are likely to find only NIA officials registering. NIA cannot speak to the reasons why EC officials were not at the said polling center.
Head of Corporate Affairs at the NIA, Francis Pamdeti there. Let's stay on election-related matters. We can speak to Dr. Srebo Kwaku. He is Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission for an assessment of their exercise. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for your time. First, beyond the 2-day registration at district offices, is there any plan to register again once the borders are open?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your listeners. So the last person today said we are not ending the registration. So we will have a program for the people who are outside the country. But we should bear in mind that the law says when we register you less than 60 days to an election, you cannot be part of that election concern. So anytime anybody comes and the person wants to register, we register the person. But if it's less than 60 days, the person can take part in the election.
So at the last update, you put the figure of those who have registered at more than 15 million. Do we have updated figures?
We will normally compare them after the phase. So we'll get the final phase tomorrow, today, and it will be ready tomorrow.
And as we prepare to wrap up the mass exercise today, what's your own assessment of the exercise?
What I would say is that God has been good to us. Whatever we set up to do, we have done. Now, if you go to all the centers, the numbers are not there, meaning that we have successfully registered almost everybody.
Thank you for your time this afternoon. That was Dr. Srebo Kwaku, Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission. Away from election-related stories, with about 85,000 businesses in Ghana still closed due to the coronavirus pandemic, the Ghana Statistical Service says more than 500,000 workers have either lost their source of income or at least received a pay cut. One of them, a pupil teacher in a private school, has been at home for 5 months without pay. Mami, not her real name, tells Joy News she's had to resort to teaching one of her pupils at home for a quarter of what she used to receive. Manuel Kwanting has the rest of the story.
I'm here to see Mami. Mami is a trained teacher with a certificate in education. She was employed before COVID in a private Junior High School. But with COVID and its attendance restrictions, she's had to stay at home. I go.
Amen.
Hi. Right. So how's it going?
We are managing.
How long have you been home?
I've been home for like 5 months.
Without any sort of allowance or?
Not at all.
5 months without salary. How do you survive?
Well, I've survived so far on my savings, which got finished like 2 months ago. So I have this side job. A parent called me to come to her house to teach her kid, and I just started. So yeah.
What does it match up with
Not at all.
what you say?
Nowhere near. It's like 1 out of 4.
Like a quarter.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me the sort of responsibilities that are on you.
I have a brother, a little brother, and well, mommy was selling in the market, but for I think close to 6 months, she's been ill. Her leg has been swollen, seriously swollen, and we had to buy drugs for her every week. When I look at everything, I think it's good.
You have a certificate in education.
Yeah.
Schools are closed. Do you expect them to get opened anytime soon?
Well, we are hoping so. Because it's really affecting us teachers, that is in the private sector, because we have no source of income. We are home and we are not being paid. Well, they've not told me I've lost my job or anything. I remember once the headmaster called and he checked on me. He was like, well, he's trying his best to get us some money. So that was like 4 months ago.
I see.
Yes. And up until now, I've not heard anything actually, but we are still hoping. I would love to get another job, better paying job. Right now that I could earn a salary so I could support my family and myself.
Manuel Cranting speaking to a teacher who's lost her regular income due to COVID-19. You're listening to the Midday News. Our top story: more chaos and vandalism as final year senior high school students clash with WAEC officials and school authorities over social distancing in exams halls. Still to come. We highlight the musical journey of journalist turned rapper D Crime. Stay for details.
For my beautiful girls in the world, you don't need to be told, baby. Come on.
Europe Agriculture Banneria yo. When we need Champions League mini tournament way. Man City, PSG, and Barcelona, Juventus, Bayern Munich, and now Real Madrid. Catching it live, that was Super Sports so the free 7th August. Onia upgraded compact plus in the year. And now to DSTV Zappa decoder, a 229 Ghana CDC pair. 1 month access and so kahon. For DSTV, I was 0302 740 540. And now texting 1731 so.
Thank you for staying on the Midday News with me, Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah. It's now time for sports. Hello, Hans.
Hi, Bernice. Been a while. Glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Let's get on to the sports. And Ghana FA boss Keto Kroku has been in the Upper East regional capital of Bogatanga, inspecting the site for the construction of an AstroTurf. This is part of an executive council decision to use part of the funds from the FIFA Forward 1.0 program for the construction of 2 AstroTurfs at the Ghana Man Soccer Center of Excellence. Keto Kroku said plans for other FIFA-funded projects will soon be reviewed.
The Executive Council has been looking at how to provide the basic infrastructure, basic logistics for our football folks. And in line with that, we've been working closely with FIFA to ensure that we get the requisite support to be able to also impact on our communities. And one of such support we are offering is the construction of a modern FIFA-certified football pitch.
That's Ghana FA President Ket Okroku. That's your sport.
Thank you very much, Hans. Now let's come to our Joy News agenda, which focuses on roads. Today, we are in Naaman, a town in the Domikwabinya constituency, where chiefs and residents say poor roads are hindering development and contributing to robberies. My colleague, PSC Nanaya Safo, has more.
Naaman is a town in the Ga East Municipal District, sandwiched between Hacho, Agboba, and Ashongman. It also falls within the constituency of Domi Kwabenya. Potholes in the roads are a common trend here. Residents tell me it has gone on for far too long.
We use our motor normally when people sick, or even the pregnant people when they sick. We use our motor, carry them to the roadside before they board a cab to their destination. Evening times like this, you can see normally sometimes armed robbers too used to take that opportunity and rob around because there is no lights around, the roads too are not. She just take everything cheap.
No street light, nothing is going on. So now we are suffering, and we are helping the market men, the market women. We are helping them. So
PSC and I are suffer with that report. It's time for entertainment, and Becky joins me. Who are we putting the spotlight on today?
Hello to you, Ben. It's good to see you. He is a certificate in journalism. He has a certificate in journalism, and thereof ventured into music some years back. D Crime, even though not very active in the music industry today, is on Spotlight.
Yo, fellas, sing the song for the one you love.
Dr. Crime is the stage name of Darlington Kwesi Ejekum, a Ghanaian rapper and early proponent of the Ghanaian trip-hop genre. Dr. Crime has also performed as a TV presenter, a brand ambassador, and is CEO of Trip-Hop Records.
First of all, I was born and bred in Tema. Yeah, you said that. Yeah, my parents are in Tema, but of course, originally, because
Ejekum was born in Tema and began making music in his early school days. He is a graduate of the Ghana Institute of Journalism. Oh yes, a certificate from GIJ.
I think that at the end of the day, I take my line of work seriously. Now, we get not on channel. This is Dr. Crime. We sit down and he's a very calm, cool, outspoken person.
Dr. Crime is an acronym which means Doctor of the Creative Rhymes you most enjoy.
And that was D Crime on Spotlight today. Thank you very much, Becky. And that's how we end this edition of the Midday News. Our top story: more chaos and vandalism as final year senior high school students clash with WAEC officials and school authorities over social distancing in exam halls. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah. Many thanks for your company, but don't go away yet. Shortly you'll be hearing from Pastor Mentor Tabo. He brings us Living Word.